Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, friends.
How are y'all doing?
I was letting them respond. I haven't really talked to you in like a couple of days, it feels like, Brandon. How have you been?
I've been good.
Busy?
Actually, no. Yesterday I relaxed.
You relaxed? That's really good.
And I did today, but on accident.
Yeah, you like fell asleep.
I tried to take a nap, and then it turned into a 2-hour affair, and then I was like,
You
I'll
took a
just
Samantha
play.
Fisher nap.
Well, except for she sleeps. I just kept waking up, because every time I'd almost fall asleep, something horrible would happen in my dream and give me a rush of adrenaline, and then I'd be like, and then I'd be like, oh, then fall back asleep, and it was a nightmare, literally and figuratively.
The other day, I had a dream that I continued the next night. Have you ever done that before?
Oh, don't like those.
Very weird, because then I wake up and I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? Because then I was...
Or like those dreams where you go to bed, but then in your dream you wake up the next morning and live tomorrow, and then you wake up tomorrow and you're like, wait, did I actually live a day?
Inception. Not good. But did you have a couple of days off, or have you still been working after the holiday season a lot?
I was off last
Did you find your
today
key
Sunday.
that you lost?
No, key is still lost.
Oh, no. Brandon got the big official storage unit key, and already lost it.
Yeah, I put it somewhere in my house. I just don't know where. I cleaned the house, so it must be somewhere extra special.
You said you needed it for something. Did you get out of that, or did you have to tell them that you lost it?
I had to be like, hey, can I borrow the spare key? They like me, so it was fine. But, I don't like doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I don't like being yelled at.
Yeah, I knew they weren't going to yell at me, but my social anxiety.
Yeah, I don't like admitting that I messed up. So it's like, you were tearing apart your car in your house. You were like, I have to find this thing.
Okay, I was talking about it with Sam because I was like, the only thing I can think that might have happened is I went to go put it in my car and my car was locked, and so I just put it on the roof of my car. Oh. And then I must have drove, and then because it was before it snowed, and so then it fell, and then it got covered in snow, and now it's under a layer of ice. That's the only thing I can think.
Do you think you're going to find it when the snow maybe melts?
Maybe, hopefully. But
it's been melting a lot.
When she moved and was like packing her car up, someone put a set of keys that matched the description of my lost key on top of her car. And so when I told her that, she like FaceTimed me immediately and was like, are they these? And I was like, I wish, but no.
She was like, I'm about to save the day. Boo.
The key said Wayne. So Wayne, if you're listening, Samantha has your keys.
Also, if there's any psychics listening that want to tell Brandon where his keys are. Aren't there like psychics or like mediums or whatever that like tell people where dead bodies are located?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. It scares me a little bit. What are we talking about this episode, finally?
Well, today we're talking about something that when Nicole told me that we hadn't talked about, I was kind of shocked. We haven't done a repotting episode.
Yeah, I think, I don't even know if it would be more fitting if we were repotting while doing this, but we actually recently did a lot of repotting that we had to do.
We're out of soil.
Yeah. I have soil, but I don't want to mix up more. I have like the ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
But, I keep potting up a bunch of cuttings. I'm trying to stack up my grow tent full of stuff this year, And
you've been ramping up.
Yeah, I've been cutting everything. I've been trying to tell myself, like, if it's a plant that doesn't really bring me a lot of joy, I just need to, like, cut it up, throw it in there.
And for me, it's like I can't do anything once I cut it because I don't have the room to put a pot anywhere. So I just go sit in my fish tank and live there for eternity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't really have anything to do with cuttings. You have a lot of plants right now.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a lot. I go in there and I'm like, oh, God. Everything just keeps getting bigger.
I will say now that I have reorganized the cabinets, it is much more feng shui and doesn't look as crazy.
Well, after moving Sam, I'm like, I can't imagine moving all Brandon's plants because Sam didn't have that much, and still all of her plants took up, like, more than, at least 2 carloads because my car was full of plants.
Yeah, and my entire full inside of my car was full of the second load of her plants. So
I'm surprised you fit her big plant because I didn't take the 2 biggest plants.
Yeah, I just put them like in my front seat on the floor, tipped them over, and was like, they're just going to have to do.
By the way, we are at my place right now, so producer Charlie is stepping in. already
Literally.
before we started recording. He already stepped on the button there. It was really funny. So he might do it again. We love that. Yeah. He's usually really vocal. So I don't know. We might get something out of him.
We'll see. He might shut the whole operation down too.
Yeah. But repotting.
Well, before we get into it, we have a special game for you guys.
Oh, Lord.
If you follow the podcast...
21 plus game. It's a 21 plus.
Well, they can drink... It's any age game. It's just depending on what you want to drink.
Whatever your vice is.
If I was 10 years old listening to this, I'd be drinking cherry Kool-Aid. That was my jam. Literally. So if you follow us on Instagram, then you definitely know who Grace, aka Green Plants Orange Cat, is. She makes the funniest memes on the planet every episode, and we appreciate it so much. And she came up with the unofficial Where Are We Growing? The unofficial official, well now it's official, Where Are We Growing drinking game. So there are two different categories. You take a shot of either your alcoholic, if you're 21 plus and drinking responsibly, beverage, or if you're under and drinking something else. Or if you are consuming things through your lungs, take a puff, a big puff or a small puff. So take a shot when Nicole saves Brandon from getting canceled.
Which I'm glad, honestly.
That happens about every episode.
I'm glad that Grace recognizes this. I'm glad she sees where I have to step in. Charlie, can you not climb into the crinkly IKEA bag next to me?
We're making a sub for rule 2. You all take a shot because take a shot when producer Cece and now producer Charles makes an appearance. So
yeah,
enjoy your shot, guys.
It interrupts us.
And the third shot rule is if either of us mention taking or not taking our meds.
Did you take your second one today? Because you did nap, so I bet you didn't take it.
I took it right before my nap. I was like, I will take it.
I'm going to wake up feeling energized.
Yeah, no. Then I just hyper-focused. And so that was the 3 shots, and here are sips. First sip, when Nicole says ping. So there's a couple sip. If we talked about pings yet? I just assumed we did.
Not in this episode. But I was showing Brandon my pings. I love my pings. I'm thinking, you know what? I might just turn one of my cabinets into a whole pingdom. Just one whole cabinet of pings, because I haven't been able to be that person on Instagram that takes a picture of their cabinet, and has a little plant shelfie. That's not really something that we post.
Relatable.
It's because they're not aesthetically pleasing. I'm like, I want my beautiful pingdom, because I love my pinks. I think they're very photogenic, but they're already in 2 separate cabinets now. Mm-hmm. So I need them all together.
I put all mine together. I separated them because I was like, I want them evenly distributed to evenly.
But now you want the whole
the
pingdom.
gnats. Yeah. So.
It's just so much. It's so much, especially when they're all flowering together. It's the best. Okay, go on.
So take a sip when either of us wheeze. So that's quite a few sips every episode. Take a sip when Brandon admits to breaking a law.
You do that a lot.
Well, I'm about to end up breaking the law more because, my headlight's out. Well, now my other headlight flickers. It's going to go out before February 8th. I just know it.
My tabs are expired. You didn't. If you're one of my parents, you didn't hear that.
Take a sip every time you hear a relatable neurodivergent quote.
That's gonna be a lot of sips.
And anytime you hope neither of their therapists are listening.
Which, by the way, I do not have a therapist anymore. Y'all know mine ghosted me. Well, I do have a psychiatrist. I have one that prescribes me the things, and I guess talks to me. Forgot his name. Also, when I transferred to my new phone, because I have a new phone now, my Google Calendar, it kind of worked. But I think it only brought, when I I got the Google Calendar app again, only the reoccurring appointments that I have going on, always or yearly, are in there. The one-off appointments, my next tattoo appointment, Isabella's next, laser hair appointment, all that shit got deleted.
Well, there might be different categories because I found out I was doing.
Them all clicked. I was like, what
weird.
The hell?
But I also found that mine used to sync to my Apple Calendar, my Google Calendar, now it doesn't. And I've looked into it and I can't figure it out. I don't know.
There is you have to go into Google and turn on Google Sync or something. But it's also I don't think it's in here. Maybe it is. No, Groundhog Day. No. Like, when's my next tattoo appointment? I'm going to have to message Ash Wednesday. I'm going to have to message I'm going to have to message everybody and be like, when's my next appointment? I don't know. Anyways, repotting.
Repotting.
We kind of repot all year for various reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of reasons to repot. I'm not usually someone who's eager to repot right away when I bring a plant home. That's kind of like my least common reason to repot.
Yeah, unless it's that like just pure coco coir, which I have a couple plants that I should have done.
I have a couple plants still in that. I'm just like letting them go.
And I'm like, well, I can't keep up with the watering on this. So
my schismatoglottis, which is a very like chronically thirsty plant, y'all know if you have one, is still in that, but it's still growing just fine. Same thing with like I have one of the Casa Farms Silver Dragon alocasias, and it's still in that. It's looking like really good. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna repot it like when it needs more room, and then I'll give it more soil, which will probably be soon. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't care. We'll see.
I repotted all my alocasias from Costa Farms, and they've already outgrown it, and now their roots are all bound, and they're like, oh.
A lot of my alocasias are root bound right now. A lot of my plants in general, I'm like, I used to be really like, oh, just let it get root bound, let it get root bound. I'm like, and now I take that a little bit too seriously. I need to like stop. Because I think that was better advice for when I was just too eager to repot all the time. Like, let it be, let it grow. Now I'm like, oh, this is like, now it's like, I can't even break into this root ball.
This should have been a 6 months ago project.
Yeah. Some of my plants, I'm like, oh, they can go another year. No, probably not. But yeah. So when's the best time to repot? Kind of too general of a question. People ask me a lot, like, how do I know when to repot? And I think when you have those roots sticking out the bottom, that's not necessarily the best indicator, especially if you have like a saucer at the bottom. Those roots, they're going to go to the bottom anyways first. They're going to go looking for water. So whenever the second you see roots coming out the bottom, don't be deceived. Don't be so eager.
But make note. Don't be like me and go, oh, okay. And then you look back, and then the entire saucer's filled with roots, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have to shred this pot to get it apart.
A lot of times I kind of repot when I see roots at the top. Sometimes it's a little bit too late, depending on the plant, but I don't know. I think that's a good indicator. I mean, when you can't stick your finger in the soil anymore because it's just full of roots, it's probably a good indicator it's time to repot.
I would say my biggest indicator is when leaves start yellowing and falling off for no apparent reason, which is...
You're watering a lot more because the soil's like pretty much gone.
Just consumed. Just pure roots.
The plant has depleted the soil of all the good stuff, and it's time for an upgrade. How do you know what size pot to go up to? I like to give the analogy when I'm at the plant shop to people that, I don't know, it's kind of like moving up a pant size. You know, you don't want your pants to be comfortable, right? You want them to fit, but you don't want them like falling off. You don't want it too baggy. Cause like, you know, you might not grow into that, you know, you're probably fine just having them nice and snug, but you don't want to be uncomfortable all day long. So anyways, usually just moving the next size up, which is usually an extra inch around each side.
It's like 2 inches bigger total, like a 4 to a 6.
Yeah.
6 to an 8.
It's usually the good stuff. Sometimes, I have a wide range of pots just because I take whatever I can get. Some pots are deeper than others. You know, some pots are more shallow. You know, if you have like a string of things plant, maybe you just want like a wider pot, not necessarily like a nice deep pot because...
Oh, those deep pots are a nightmare.
But maybe you want a deeper pot instead to make more room. Maybe you have a shelf that's full and you can't take... When I've been repotting my plants, I'm like, shit, now I don't have room because all of these plants that were in a 4-inch that are going up to a 6-inch, I'm like, oh my God, it's packed in here.
But that's why, like, the one thing I do like the deeper pots for is like anthuriums and things that grow up and like put out all the roots, because then I'll just like stick it super deep. And
or when your plant is getting really wobbly and you're like, I need to get you a little bit deeper in there. You know, some of those nodes are going to throw out more roots, anchor itself in there a little bit more. We're good and happy.
And then with pot size too, I feel like there's certain plants that you can get away with a little bit bigger pot, like anthuriums, syngoniums, like these ones that grow these massive quick root systems.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are times where I'll pot an anthurium and just like a one size up, and within 2 months it's bursting from the seams, and I'm like, why? It's like I can't touch you that much. I'm too lazy.
Yeah, I had to repot a lot of my anthuriums recently because I was letting them get way too root bound, like my philodendrons, but I realized that they were slowing way down in growth. They were not giving me like any leaves at all.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some flowers.
And
I'm
then
like, can you do something?
Then they finally put a leaf and 2 die. And you're like,
Yeah, I'm like, okay. And then I finally repot, and it's like it's a lot of noodles. I love anthurium roots though. It's kind of one of my favorite plants to repot because it's so satisfying. Those roots are just so like thick and healthy and
they
yummy.
Rot a lot less likely. Like when I import anthuriums, I can almost guarantee the roots are going to be 90% fine.
Mm-hmm.
Where everything else is like, meh.
Which I was just thinking today because I saw someone had posted a video. I don't know. They shared it to their Instagram story that they were planning their next import. And you need to let me know when you import next because
it's not going to be for a while.
Well, I was just saying because last time I
look at my watch like, what time is it? It's January.
I told you to do last time, and you're like, yeah, I will. And you still ordered without me. You didn't let me know.
I was, in my defense, I think
it was
incredibly
you did it
high.
You were in the middle of the night
like
or whatever.
3 a.m.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still, you gotta let me know.
After I had the trauma of watching that Apple dinosaur documentary.
Oh my God! If you know, you know, y'all. Where's my cat? I'm surprised he hasn't come over here. Maybe he's still in the
just
closet.
on the bed.
Oh, he loves sleeping
hopefully
over there.
licking.
I keep checking on him because he, if y'all have like a fluffy cat, you will relate to this, but he gets a little messy when he goes to the bathroom. Oh my God. The other morning it was so bad. We both had to hop in the shower because I had picked him up. And then like when I was carrying him downstairs, his tail was just like flapping against my back. And I was like, oh my God. And it was all over me. It was so bad, y'all. And then in that moment, I was like, maybe people shouldn't get cats. I was just like, maybe, I shouldn't have kids. This
well, that was like
good.
Cece. She just does her typical, sticks her butthole on me and then wraps her tail around me. And I like hug her in the morning and I'm like, Cece, why are you all wet? And then the smell hits me and I'm like,
it's the worst smell. It's the worst. Oh, anyway, sorry for the yuck, y'all. I just had to. I was like, I'm dying here. But yeah, he nearly jumped up onto the bed when I saw him, and I was like, oh, absolutely not. So we picked him up.
Thank God.
And yeah, but no, he had already gotten it like all over the walls and the stairs and stuff.
No.
Like I had to go cleaning. I was on my hands and knees cleaning. Oh, I don't know how they get so messy. But anyways, repotting. What are your favorite repotting tools? What's typically, like, realistically, because there's a lot of tools out there. What do you actually use when you repot?
So I would say the things
that
I actually use, obviously nursery pots, because I don't pot directly into regular pots.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. We're nursery pot queens.
The potting tarp,
Mm.
I don't know how I didn't go into those sooner. It just makes the mess and the cleanup so much easier. Obsessed.
Mine got glass all over it when the person shattered my window. So I've had a little bit of that. I was like, I could use it because it's the one that you gave me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could use it, but what if I get glass all over me?
Well, here's what you do. So when next time you're outside by the garbage, the big garbage, just like unhook it and like shake
it out.
Because it'll like boing out and all the glass will fall into the garbage. But yeah, no, that thing is the best thing ever.
It's a good one. Repotting tarp, because you keep a clean house.
Yeah. Well, I repot where I sleep.
Yeah.
So I don't want dirt in my bed.
What else do you use? So your potting tarp and your plastic pots.
Really, that's it for the essentials. I guess it's nice, those little dirt. I don't know if you still use it for dirt, but we both got them for like dirt from IKEA. They have like the little lifty lid and it has a handle.
Oh, yeah.
The gray things. It's just like a little portable soil holder, essentially.
Those are nice. Those are in my closet, though, and I kept the door shut, so now it doesn't exist to me anymore,
That's why I keep mine out at all times.
I know. Yours is, that is your little, like, garbage thing. Lately I've been using to repot is just this like plastic Tupper, like the bin, just like a plastic bin that has like a lid on it. I mix up my soil in there and I just repot right in there. Obviously, like if the plant is really big, that doesn't work out, but it's been keeping me from making a mess because I'm very quick about it too. I'm just like tossing the soil like blah, 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 we're done, and I just love it. And it makes me, especially because I leave it out in the plant room, it makes me more eager to repot plants because it's just right there. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna like do it.
Like those people who like pot so neatly and they like bring it to like their kitchen island. They like do it so like perfectly, and then got all these tools, and it's not a mess.
That's when I have to remind myself. I'm like, this is for the video. This realistically, this is not for the plant. This is for the video. You know what I'm saying?
Could never be me.
Yeah, I'm like, and plus I feel like, well, unless you're repotting a lot of plants, I feel like mine is just like I'm just gonna do this real quick. I don't have time to sit down and make a video about it. It's just been like, okay, this plant needs repotting immediately now. So
unless I'm doing something special, like extending a moss pole, I did do a video of that, or I recorded one. I haven't edited it yet, but
yay! I like when you post things. I'm like, oh, Brandon posted. Even when you post on your Instagram story, I'm like, oh, Brandon posted, and I'm like, oh, it's a gym selfie. It's Brandon biceps, not Brandon botanical. We love it either way. Come as you are. Yeah, repotting tools. My nursery pots are just all over the place, and I also am a nursery pot queen, and we just put the plant in something else, unless it is like a really big plant and the like moss poles like falling out of it, and the nursery pot is just not like keeping it stable even in another pot. Then if it's a big plant, then I'm like, okay, I'll pot it directly in like a ceramic pot or something. I usually don't go terracotta anymore. No, I'm sorry.
Too much watering.
Never, ever, ever. And I don't love the ick on the outside of it, even if you can clean it. I'm just too lazy. I can't do it.
No.
I am, however, embracing colorful pots now. I'm no longer like it has to be a white pot. No.
Well, my white pots just get so full of dirt, debris, and I don't clean them off. So.
Yeah, I feel that. Gross. Or a lot of mine, like there's my Ethereum right there. It's just like sitting there with a plastic pot.
These are actually incredibly clean white pots.
Well, it's also because I don't have like extremely humidity, like a wet, packed plant in jungle environment like you do. My plants are pretty spaced out. The ones I brought upstairs, I have to put back in that cabinet, but because I watered them downstairs. I've been getting better at it because I put some plants in there that I really love, and it's been getting me to like water them more. So it's been working. That's my monstera from you.
I had to repot this the other day.
Yeah, it's not. I'm just telling myself it'll look pretty in the summer, right? I'm also gonna cut it up soon because look at those. It's so choppable. My Pariso Verde that we're looking at right now.
Mine was like just like this, but I had a couple more aerial roots coming up, so I was able to like do a double chop, and it was still. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm like, that's gonna be a fun chop and prop. I don't really use any like scooping things. If I am repotting like a really prickly cactus, I have cactus gloves because I really don't love getting prickles in my fingers. I don't like it. I don't know how people like work with cacti regularly. Sonia. No. Probably Sandy projects. I don't know how you do it. It's just like part of her life, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to get pricked.
It's just physical inconvenience, and I just don't want that. And I have trauma.
Oh yeah, you have like a scar from a cactus.
Is it still there?
Probably. Jesus, look at your veins. My God.
Where is it? I think it's here. Yeah, there it is.
That was just you being clumsy, though.
Yeah.
Just being near a cactus.
Just being me.
So, repotting in the event that there is a pest infestation. I don't know if I've actually ever done that. Like, normally...
I don't think I have either.
You know? I don't know. I'm just going to hit it with some hydrogen peroxide if I really think that there's something bad going on. But I'm more likely to repot if I think that there's maybe some rot, which is probably not going to happen because I underwater my plants. So
it's very rare.
Just doesn't happen.
But I think for most people it's a lot more common. But we've been training ourselves to not put in too much work very well for many years now.
Brandon has his plants like automated. Tell everyone how that went though. I don't think we've talked about this.
Okay, so I have my moss poles automated because watering moss poles is a task that one day I'll touch them and they'll be just wet. And then the next day they're dried to a crisp.
And your goal right now this year is to get those big leaves.
Get those big ass leaves. Mm-hmm. And so I got this automated system that have been working out really well.
Yeah,
but
all
then
these little tubes that are connected together.
And then it goes right into the fish tank. So fish tank water just flows straight into the little moss balls. Well, it's kind of stopped doing like the automatic like it was supposed to. And it's like cheap China stuff. It's like it's not like I'm like, oh, this very expensive thing failed me. But I've been doing it manually. And so the other day I was like, I'll just, instead of sitting in bed for an hour and drinking my coffee and getting my wits about me, I'll just start my day. Don't start your day. You make your coffee and you lay in bed for at least an hour.
I feel like I remember that day too where you're like, I'm just going to get up and start my day.
And it was the worst decision I ever made because towards the end of getting ready, I think I was like ready to leave the house. I was going to go to Walmart, return that vacuum, go to the post office, and go to work. And I was like, okay, I got to leave in like 15 minutes. I'll just do 5 minutes doing the moss poles quick. So I turn it on. I start packing up the car. I leave. I sit in the Walmart parking lot for 45 minutes as they don't come out to grab my vacuum in the curbside return, which really irritated me, so I brought it inside.
I remember this too. You were Snapchatting us when this was going on too.
And then I go to the post office. And then Brenna texts me and goes, it's leaking from my ceiling in the basement. And I'm like, what? And then I like think about it and I'm like, oh my God, I never turned off the automatic waterer. So the automatic waterer over the course of an hour dispensed 5 out of the 15 gallons of my fish tank into the plants, into the pots, onto the floor, down into Brenna's room, onto the furnace.
Fish poop going down the walls. Oh, no.
Well, fortunately, the fish poop got filtered through the moss and the soil. So just soil dirt water.
Oh, my God. It was soil dirt water.
So it would literally go into the pots, fill up the saucers, and then the saucers were overflowing like a waterfall.
Did she have to wait for you to come turn it off, or could you like turn it off from your phone?
Well, then I called her and I was like, Brenna, okay, you got to go to the little box. You got to press this. I'm like, you got to hold this button, then you got to press this button. And she's like, I can't figure it out. And I'm like, just unplug it, pull the batteries out. I don't know.
Oh my God. That's so bad. Because the way that Brandon told me this too was just so casual. Because you were like, oh yeah, I forgot to turn it off, so it just leaked all over. You said it flooded the house, and I thought Brandon was being dramatic. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he just had a puddle on the floor, and he's like, oh, it flooded. And then the other day he's like, yeah, and it was going down Brenna's walls, and I was like, wait, what?
Like just the water that was in the saucers filled up that big bucket, the mop that's filled the whole thing just from what was in the saucers. And then I'd put the saucer back. Within 5 minutes, it'd be full again from all the water in the plant.
Oh, my God. I mean, your plants were soaked. Are any of them pissed at you right now for being so wet?
One of them might be, but I'm not.
There are a lot of just like velvety philodendrons, right? And
they were like dry, so they were probably like,
they're like God.
Rain on me, tsunami.
My God, I just sounded like an orangutan. My God, what was that? God.
But yeah, that was traumatic.
So there's another like Brandon not breaking the law, but just pissing off his roommate. Which a lot of people thought that Brandon lived with Sam. They did live together a long time ago, but not. You live with Brenna. Brenna owns Cece and Clifford. Sam just moved and has her own 3 cats.
And I technically own 0 cats.
Well, I think you technically own Cece, because I'm pretty sure that Brenna changed in her will that you would get Cece.
Well, Brenna has to die first.
God.
Which, if I flood the basement and she drowns, that might, that could happen, I guess.
Speaking of dying, I did finish White Lotus.
Oh.
For those who give a shit. The first season, I was kind of like, okay, like that was interesting. I don't really understand the hype. Then the second season came around and I was like, oh, this is drama. This is tea. This is drama. Pretty good, pretty stacked cast both times around. I was like, geez. Well, when I saw the guy from The Office was in the first one, Pete, or like, what do they call him? Jim Jr. or something like that. He was supposed to like be the Jim lookalike. I was like, not this fucking goofball. I'm not going to be able to take him seriously. But he played a really good asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I hated him.
I think I did like season 2 better.
Yeah. Jennifer Coolidge did definitely deserve that Golden Globe. She's great.
I really was like, because it was so many episodes in when these gays, they're trying to kill me. I was like, where are the gays? Where are the gays? Because first season was like gays, 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 and
I didn't realize that was from White Lotus at all until I heard how they changed the like intro song, which also the first season I was like, this doesn't sound like the TikTok version of the. That's what I also sound like. Why can't I sing that song? It's so hard. The White Lotus people know what we're talking about. Like, you can't tell me you haven't tried to like sing that like tune. Anyways, but then I heard the beginning of it where it's like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, wait, that sounds like these gays sound from TikTok. And then I look up the sound on TikTok because I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure that's the sound on TikTok. And then it shows Jennifer Coolidge, and I'm just like, wait, I'm gonna see that. And then but then it gave it away. Because she was with the gays, and I was like, they're gonna try and kill her. So sorry if I spoiled that for y'all. But anyways.
TikTok spoiled it before anyone.
So I was like,
because I knew the gays were gonna try to kill her, but I didn't know where the gays were.
I'm very late to it, but season 2 was a lot more shocking.
Yeah,
they kept things from us, and I was like, oh wow.
But I feel like they gave you more throughout to keep you.
Yeah, I like that.
Whereas season 1, I feel like it was like such a like
the first like 5. There was too many storylines going on.
Yeah.
And they were kind of boring. Yeah. Like the girl and her friend, Sydney Sweeney. I'm just like... And
they're like both like the boy and like, well, who cares?
Yeah. I did understand the themes of like this girl and her privilege and like this girl and her token friend and all this stuff. I'm like, I get that. But the drama wasn't that great. Second season, maybe we need to have a TV review podcast or some shit. That's our White Lotus.
Honestly, that might not be a bad idea.
It would have. Here's the thing. I think I had a hard time with it because I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately, a lot of real shit. So I was like, okay, this is all like made up, and it's just meh.
And then it's hard for me to
you got to wow me.
It's hard for me to watch new shows. I'm like, people say this is good, but like, I don't really know if I'll like it.
Yeah, I had to commit to White Lotus. I was like, okay, come on, I just got to finish this just so I can say that I did. But yeah, I guess if there is there going to be a third season? I'm assuming there is.
There's supposed to be 7, one for each of the original sins, or what is it? Original sins, the 7 sins, 7 deadly sins. So the first one was greed. This one was lust.
Maybe because of like the escort ladies.
Yeah, this one had like more sexual. The last one had more money, and this next one,
the manager being, that was a big twist. I was like, oh my gosh, that's why she's so bitter and bitchy.
What's with all these fags managing these White Lotuses?
I was also like, how are they going to have another White Lotus? And I was like, oh, this is going to be like a chain of hotels, I guess. Okay, interesting. I do kind of like the little teaser at the beginning. Where, because I was like, who's going to die? Who's going to die out there? I don't know who's going to be. Anyways, it was a shocker, though. I'm not going to give it away. I can't give it. We got to stop. Repotting.
Repotting your White Lotus. Is a lotus a tree or is it like a flower?
Aren't they the ones that
they're in the water. They're a lily. A water lily.
We have a plant podcast.
Is it a tree?
Well, honestly, this kind of flashback to when we were doing plant trivia, because I keep seeing these things where I'm like, well, duh. Like how we didn't know what staghorn fern was, platycerum. Now that I'm never going to forget that. My gosh. Substrate changes. Here's the thing. I don't really do a whole lot of like soil to leca or pond anymore. I start with a cutting.
Yeah.
I'm way too lazy to like completely clean off the roots anymore.
You've put in a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, it's too much. I can't be bothered anymore. So now I cut it.
I could never be bothered. I did it twice and gave up.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the tea. Here's the wraparound. I only did it. It's for the video. I don't think I've ever done that shit not in a video, right?
Well, then it paid off.
So
what is this thing in my sock? Oh.
I don't know. Maybe it's another piece of poop that Charlie missed in the carpet. Charlie is just a dirty boy. Ugh. But yeah, I start with a cutting, and usually I'm a water bitch. I love water. I root it in water for a little bit, and then I throw it into the substrate because I just want to know that there's roots there first, and then I throw it in. But maybe that's too much for y'all, but I don't know. It's easier than cleaning the roots off. And then usually I just let the bottom thing grow in my grow tent. I just chuck it in the grow tent. And I'm like, good luck. Thank you.
Stump.
Yeah. Thank you, Stump. Thank you for your...
Well, I could do a stump case tour. You know, just a full IKEA cabinet of stumps.
Here's the thing. I bet you didn't label any of those plants.
I have no idea what they are.
You have no clue what a lot of those are now.
But a lot of them are already popping out new leaves. So
that's good. I bet they were really happy.
No, they're like, these thrips.
Yeah, they're trying to kill me. You should do that. You should do a reel with the sound. Bring it to Instagram.
Be like, I'll pay for a Jennifer Coolidge cameo to get her to say it.
Please do. Maybe we should go in on it together.
Is she on cameo?
I bet she is. Please look it up. I've been trying. So I've been trying to explain to Isabella like how iconic certain like women are in like movies and stuff, because like growing up she didn't really watch a lot of like girly or like feminine movies and stuff, because she was like trying to be like, oh, I don't like that stuff, you know. So now she's like getting into the stuff where we're rewatching stuff from childhood. We're just about to finish Wizards of Waverly Place, but I'm like, you need to know that Jennifer Coolidge is like an icon. We got to watch Cinderella Story, you know what I mean, because remember she was a stepmom, very iconic. But I'm like, yeah, she's very much great. I think she's childless, right? She doesn't have any kids.
I don't think so, yeah. I
think she hooks up with a lot of people. I'm pretty sure that she like spilled the tea and was like, she gets it. I love how we're back on White Lotus.
So she had a cameo. I don't think she has one anymore.
Well, probably because of the White Lotus, she couldn't even charge. People couldn't afford her now. The demand is high for Miss Jennifer Coolidge.
And apparently Ariana Grande made a cameo for Jennifer Coolidge, or talked about her in a cameo, and she thinks that Ariana Grande was the reason that her career took off again.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't have service, so I'm not going to open up an article and read it.
But now, Brandon, you're on the pawn train now.
I do like the pawn, I think.
I want to try your mix because it looks very interesting. I forgot to grab a scoop.
I should have brought some. Well, I didn't have time.
Brandon was, in the middle of something, and all of a sudden he was like, shit, I need to have left 5 minutes ago.
I was late to my haircut because I was editing a picture, but I did save a photo retouching TikTok months ago, and I went back and referenced it and followed the whole tutorial.
Nice.
Can you believe I did that? I saved something from the past and used it in the present.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's like the amount of times I've saved something like, oh, I'm going to use this later. Never to have seen it again.
I feel like you do a lot more than me. Like I feel like you do like less than like a normal person would, but like for me it's like bare minimum once every decade I'll like be like, oh yeah, I should go grab this thing I saved.
I do try and save a lot of videos, or I like that now TikTok has the extra save thing, because I was like, this is stupid. You have your likes and your saves now. I hate it.
There's a likes and a saves?
Yeah, on TikTok, like you can bookmark
Oh, the
video?
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
I call it saves because that's what it is on Instagram. And it's the same little icon, the little ribbon. Anywho, we already talked about which size pot. But you've been loving the pond. I've been loving the pond. I do need to repot a lot of my pond plants though. Like a lot of the plants that I first put into pond.
How do you know to repot a pond plant?
I mean, I think that the plant will kind of slow down in growth a little bit, just like typical with like other like substrates. But also it'll just be like, I mean, you'll probably have roots coming out the bottom. It kind of does take a while for it to get through that extra thing if you're using one of those like pond pots that people use.
Where I feel like Lecca, the roots are like right to the water.
And the roots will definitely be at the top, but you'll be able to like pull the plant out and it'll just be like one solid thing. I feel like with Lecca that happens a lot sooner, but with pond, like because the rocks are so tiny, like it can fall apart really easily. But like if you pull it out and it's like solid, it's like, okay, it's time to move it up. I think that the fertilizer is supposed to, like if you have the slow release fertilizer, I think it's only supposed to last for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So maybe every 6 months it might be a good idea to either add some more in there or check and see if you need a repot. But for some plants, you're definitely not going to have to do like every 6 months repot. That would be craziness.
What's your opinion on root balls and what you should or should not do with them?
Like with the thing in the middle? Or, like breaking it apart in general?
Yeah.
So I actually used to break them apart a lot more, but I feel like my plants went into more shock when I did that. Mm-hmm. Like, I think I used to have a lot more of a, I don't know, regeneration period or like, I don't know. Yeah. Like
the droopy times.
There would be a lot more like a plant sadness period after that. Acclimation. That's the word I'm thinking of. But now that I haven't really done that, I feel like a lot of the times, especially like anthuriums, they just start growing immediately afterwards. Mm-hmm. Unless it is like extremely tight and you need to like actually break it apart. Otherwise, like the roots aren't really going to like do much. I always try to like really do much.
I always try to like pull off the ones that are like swirling around the outside. Mm-hmm. And if I can because I feel like right in the middle, there's always like a hole. So I'll like, I'll finger that hole, get all the brown stuff out.
Yeah, when I'm doing a little repot for someone like at PQ, I usually just like take the plant out and then just like give it a little squeeze. Just like, and then it'll like drop some of that soil and then throw it in.
I'll give it a shake and see what happens. And I'm like, okay, didn't do much. In the pot you go.
Yeah, so I haven't really been disturbing the root ball very much. Just kind of throw it in. Let it do its thing.
I will say, though, I would be interested I feel like we don't know that many people who have mostly large plants, where we know like our crowd is mostly like collectors who have smaller, harder to find plants. Where like, what about people who just have like giant fiddly figs and giant...
I know. I've been watching a lot of videos of this recently. I have a guess. And this is craziness, but this is what people do who have these huge plants that they need to like keep alive for a long time. They cut off the roots. That's when you see people take and they saw off like a third of the roots at the bottom and then they pot it again
in the same pot
so that they can keep it in the same pot. Oh, I can't believe my brain did that. Wow. I was like, oh my God. Because it's one of those things where I would have been like thinking back on this episode and be like, oh shit, I know what people do. Wow, I remembered that. That's craziness. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you guys do that because I've been seeing, I know it's not just for the video. I believe that people do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because what else you can't just keep putting it in a big pot. Eventually you're going to run out of pots.
Yeah, like eventually you're going to, like you can't keep putting a fiddly fig in a bigger pot because it's just going to turn into a tree.
Yeah, you're going to have to put it outside.
Plant it in the yard.
Yeah. Which I did see some, I did see some people who there was just another like cold snap in Florida. And some people who had like giant fiddly figs outside, like they dropped all their leaves.
So what happens then?
I guess I'm assuming they grow back. I mean, I feel like being that mature of a tree, I feel like they wouldn't just die all the way to the core unless it was actually cold for like several months.
Yeah.
I feel like a little cold, like week or so, isn't going to kill the whole plant, but I'm sure it does shock it enough for it to drop all the leaves.
Because how does like a maple tree like lose all its leaves and then all leaves come back in the same spot?
I will say, like, I think people down south who don't really like have a concept of snow and winters up here would be shocked at what these plants outside go through. And then the fact that they come back in the spring, like, it blows my mind. I love springtime when things start like popping up and growing, and then when the trees like bloom right away. Because usually like we have like our springtime where the trees bloom and then they're just like, meh. They're just growing all summer. But like, oh, I love the smells. I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
To not have winter. That is going to be the best part.
It's been so icy. I mean, did you see my road?
This is I almost had to give up. I almost couldn't park because I was stuck in the road divots. I was like trying to get over, and my car would not get up on the ice, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm just not gonna be able to park.
Yeah, because and Sam admitted this too. Sam had been up here to drop off. So, I have something for you. Don't forget to. grab it
my
from
bag
me.
of goodies.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
I'm going to Sam's tomorrow, so I can bring her the nebulizer back.
She was like, your road is horrible, Nicole. They really didn't plow it. And I'm like, yeah, they didn't. So then people have just been like driving in one path. So there are just two tire tracks all the way down. And there are just these huge mounds of ice that when I try to get over, like my car literally goes like, ooh, before I get into my parking spot. I'm about to like hit the snowbank. It's horrible. Yeah, they don't give a shit. I wish they would plow I haven't been able to just see me parked out there. I've not been able to park in my alley. Oh, anyways, that's just my gripe about the Minneapolis snow patrol. But I guess I haven't really had a plant big enough to have to cut off the roots like that. Maybe your big monstera eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the pot it's in is
pretty damn big.
It's huge.
I feel like I
can't even find a saucer to put underneath it that fully fits it. Like it literally is like just to the edge. So like I have to like be careful because I know water will drip out if I put too much in.
have another flood going on. Yeah, I feel like maybe you need to like make something. I don't know, what can you put under it so that it doesn't, I don't know, get water all over the place? Because you need we believe in a nice thorough watering.
Yeah,
you know?
I think we got to go back to that green garden place.
Greener Gardens. I refer people to there like all the time. Anybody, if you're listening from Greener Gardens in Richfield, Minnesota, I refer people to you a lot because people are like, people come to PQ asking for plastic pots all the time. And if I have some on hand, I'll give them to them for free. But I'm like, we don't sell plastic pots here. A lot of plant shops. I mean, unless it's a big garden center.
The only place around here that does is Bachman's, and they're like almost $1 per nursery pot. I will say they are incredibly nice, thick nursery pots. But
I hate the really flimsy ones.
Yeah, like the dollar store ones.
Yeah, you could literally. I've accidentally, like, if the soil's a little bit too loose, like when I like current it to see if it's like needs a drink or not, boom, all the soil will come out because I squeezed it too hard. I don't like a little pot that's too thin like that. You can't have that.
No, we like a thick pot.
But I also have like a plastic pot is also how I tell if a plant needs watering. So usually I go by the weight. And I'll know immediately. I pick it up and I'm like, oh shit, you need a drink now. So protocols after repotting. I mean, now that my plant doesn't actually go into so much of a shock, it's not as big of a deal to me anymore. I kind of feel like I just carry on.
Water immediately, because I have forgotten to water a plant that I repotted, and then it immediately shriveled and died because it was like, water.
Especially if I'm like moving something from water into soil.
Oh, yeah.
I water like several times to make sure that soil's wet because I'm going to forget to water it. And then the plant is not going to be okay. But that's how I do a lot of my propagations, is it starts in water. So the transition period is really important. Yeah. I have been trying to test out the whole just throw it in soil and let it root, but I'm not good at watering things so much. So, but for some of my trays, I don't know, I got a bunch of different types of trays for my grow tent. Some of them have holes in the bottom, some of them don't. So I can't like water the tray and like have the plant's bottom water, which would be nice.
I should get those trays for the tent downstairs.
It's actually really nice because
it just drips all down to the bottom, and then the bottom of that tent is just like a swamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Otherwise, when I just water them, they just go down to the next plants and they just water each other. But yeah, I don't really do much after repotting unless I'm moving to another substrate and I keep checking on the plant to make sure that it hasn't spontaneously died.
I will say one thing I try not to do, and I guess I always put my plants back in the same spot, so it doesn't really cross my mind, but I try not to put them in higher light than they were before. Because I feel like sometimes they are like, ugh! They're like, my roots hurt, now my leaves hurt.
Yeah, because then going back in the same spot, that soil should still dry out at the same rate, Yeah. And you should still be able to repot or water your plant when you need to. I don't know. Makes sense to me. But I think that's all I've got on repotting, Brandon. I don't know about you. I kind of feel like I don't take repotting as seriously as I did before.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's the one hump that I had to get over as a plant parent, and it was just a lot of watching YouTube videos and just seeing people repot stuff. Because when people see me do it at work, they're like, oh, wow, you're so fast. Da, da, da. Like they think I'm being really rough with the plant, and I'm like, now I realize I'm a lot more comfortable, and I know the plant can handle it, and it's not going to fall apart. And I know, like, I don't know, I'm better at repotting the plant in a way that it's going to grow really happy and it's going to look better. Or I don't know if there's a couple cuttings, because some of those like little pothos or something, they'll just be like rooted cuttings in those pots. I try and arrange them so that they're going to like grow really nice.
My favorite thing when I'm repotting something like that has a lot of growth points is when I can find spots where the aerial root has already grown into the soil and I can just snip it and leave it as it is, and poof, whole new plant.
And then the other one can throw out some new growth.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon is king at like making a plant really full because you just like cut it and cut it and cut it. There's been so many plants. You need to do like a little plant dump of like just things you've grown from one single cutting that are just full as hell now.
Literally. Before and after of all your cuttings.
Yeah, or just cut. It's nuts. I'm not as quick to chop things up, and especially when I do, I kind of chop them up and then separate all of them. I usually don't chop things and then put them together, which I need to do more because sometimes it's more fun to have a full plant.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like with my little moss poles. I like stick more around the pole so they can grow up and fill in all the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. So fresh.
You want to read a review? I don't know if you have one pulled up.
I do. I pre-planned for once in my life. So this one is from I'm a Kedits XXXXXXXXXX. It says, Fave Planty Podcast. The range Nicole and Brandon cover is amazing. They never seem to run out of good topics to discuss and go deeper than the typical, this plant likes bright indirect light and ample humidity. I like to consider myself fairly knowledgeable about plants, and there's always something to learn from them. 110 out of 10 would recommend.
Aww. I love that. I don't know. I feel like we try and give a little bit extra information and not just talk about shit that we don't have anything to talk about. Because there are like some topics that we've had that we want to talk about that we've been waiting on, but we either want to have like a fun guest or we're just waiting to know more about those plants, have more experience with them.
We want to give you value and entertainment.
Yeah. We don't
not just one or the other.
Just to talk about shit. Like if we did a repotting video like at the beginning of this podcast, it probably would have been a lot different. Which we probably should revisit topics eventually.
Oh, yeah.
I need to do that. I need to remember to do that on TikTok, too. Like, remake videos, because people aren't going to see your old shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of TikTok, has TikTok been showing you videos you've already liked? Because it's driving me freaking crazy.
Not, like, as I'm scrolling, but if I'll close the app, and I'll open it up again, and it'll pull up a video I liked. And I'm like, I liked this, like, 2 days ago. And then I won't see it again. But I have been it has started my feed.
Yeah, I'm like, I know what you're doing, TikTok. I know I haven't seen all the videos in the world. Stop it. Well, Brandon, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Brandon Botanical on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and BrandonBotanical.com. You can shop my plants, monsteraplant.co, website and Instagram. And yeah, that's it.
Fun.
Where can they find you?
You can find me at Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Nicole Larson Grows.
But yeah.
We have fun things coming up, but I can't tell you guys yet. So, yeah. Till next time.
Keep listening and go write a 5-star review, baby.
Do it, please. Bye.
Bye.